Welcome to the Grand Shorts, a part of the Grand Podcast. The Grand. My name is Niels Tudor Winter, and I'm the creator, editor, and host of The Grand. The Grand is an independent podcast initiative with the ambition to dig into all corners of the EU R&D funding system on topics of interest for the full EU R&D funding community. This episode is part of my shorts format. It is episode number 14 in my communication short series. Casper and I have over 12 episodes, discussed, reflected, considered, reconsidered, and laughed a lot. All this to give all you professionals out there working with EU project communication dissemination every day some critical mass, tips, advice, guidance, and not least, food for thought. In these two final episodes, we ask how hard can it be? We resume almost everything we covered in the 12 episodes and give some final reflections and advice on how to work with communication strategically and practically. Here in the second half, we explore cultural nuance, consistency in tone, creative content delivery, and the irreplaceable value of trained communicators. Using real-life metaphors and practical examples, we push for a shift in mindset, from vanity metrics to real engagement, from generic posts to emotional resonant messaging, with a call to prioritize storytelling and impact over automation and shortcuts. And then, of course, we wrap up the series. Please enjoy. The Grand. Now, content creation skills. Now here, our dear ChatGPT has helped me with this. So it has even, and that's always funny when Chat refers to itself. So the question: can't you just use ChatGPT to write stuff now?
Are you asking me or are you asking?
I'm asking you. Yeah, no, it got very meta. No, but. So this discussion we had about, it's getting easier and easier to, you can, why should you use a lot of efforts or hire a lot of people to, you can just throw some prompts. Prompting.
Yeah.
You're a journalist. Tell us why that's crappy.
The short answer is that you can't. And if you one day can, I'll let you know. Of course, these tools are getting better by the day, basically, but I would strongly advise against ever publishing anything directly from an AI tool. First of all, the correctness, you need to be very sure where ChatGPT nowadays provides sources for most of its research, but you need to also check these sources because it doesn't separate if it found information in an actual media outlet, in a scientific journal, or a political website. So you need to check your sources. This is very, very important still, and it will not become less important. Secondly, writing style. Like, as a general thing, these tools, because they stem from the US, they use a very, very, very US esque language, like very, how would you say, big words.
That's a formula.
Like very grand kind of way of, like how a European would never ever write stuff, but an American would 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Like it uses big words, it uses big like sentences. It's like very like
it's like a sentence structure. It's a paragraph structure. It's
and you can of course ask it, and you can to rewrite again and again and again, and say, make this sound like something a French journalist would like.
Yeah.
But I mean, it takes a lot of rounds. It becomes time consuming because these tools are not good enough yet. Simply not good enough yet in order to all understand all the linguistic nuances of different cultures and this and that. For instance, it could also be different topics or different genres or different, but they're good. They're very good, but they're not good enough yet. Of course, if last point, if of course if you're not a professional, it can provide you with something that is much better than probably what you could do yourself. You would feel, but still, I I would strongly advise against publishing anything. Use it for research. Use it for inspiration. You use it because what it can do is, like, for instance, like, take a conversation Nils and I had, or a document we developed earlier, and provide us with, like, suggestions to a structure for, like, an episode of a podcast, for instance. And then you can, like, maybe somehow edit that a little bit yourself afterwards. But it will create you a structure, and it's good enough for that. But that's still only inspiration. It's not actual output. So be careful. I use AI tools constantly myself because I love it, and I think it's super interesting. I also try different things and different tools, but it just comes with a warning label still, I would say.
Yeah. Let me say like this, that with our last round of pushing for comments for the competition for the Grand Mock, that worked. People started to push. I started to push people and started to actually work with people sending comments, and some of them was actually related to this. So that's because that was related to attention on social media. And the idea of Rita, for instance, one of my good podcast friends now from Portugal, she said, look, and she's using AI all the time. She's a co-host in my AI series. But for this, she said, when I do posts, I think about them several days. I twist and turn it in my head. I cannot use AI because it's not me. It's not, no matter how I twist and turn that. So it's the tone of voice. It's how her brain works and how she wants it to come out, that post. That it's very obvious in relation to what we're talking about now. That, and many related small comments related to this mirrors that her post. Then that this is something that if you want to engage with people, if people feel that there's a person behind, it's much easier. If they can see that it's a machine generated text, it's less.
So basically, an AI tool like ChatGPT is not, I mean, we call it AI, but honestly, it's it's artificial, but it's not intelligent. It's mathematical. It calculates the likability, the likelihood of, like, the most probable output. It takes a number of variables from your prompt, calculates them in an algorithm, and the output is the what it thinks it can calculate its way to somehow, like what you're probably most probably looking for from what you've given it. Um, it's it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand, obviously, feelings. It doesn't understand, like you say, bridge. It doesn't causality, for instance. If you do this, you do this. It can understand it in a mathematical sense, that if I tell you to do that, you do that. But it does not understand why a word or a sentence or or an action from a human being can cause another human being to do something else.
Mm.
This, we could talk about this for a long time, but it's very good. Consider it a very, very extensive Google search.
Yeah.
It's my best advice at the moment. I mean, maybe in 2 years or 3 years, we'll talk about it in a different way. But
We will. I know we will, but that's just for now. It's like this. No. Then I have a point here: measuring success. That's measuring. Yeah, and we also been discussing that. So how do you know if communication is actually working? So is it just measuring clicks? Or are those the indicators of success?
for me, I'm doing a monthly newsletter on researchers' working conditions at universities in Denmark, and for me, somebody telling me how happy they are that maybe they don't read all that I write, but how happy they are that the newsletter exists because someone is actually taking this area seriously now and like trying to throw some spotlight on it is success for me.
Yeah.
Because that means I made an impact. So impact is not, I mean, in a company's KPIs or a research institution's KPIs, surely numbers probably fine, right? But that's just because your bosses don't know what they're talking about. And it's a weird way to measure success if you can, because nobody has a formula on how to get likes. Nobody has the final answer to get likes or
Yeah. This likes hunt.
or shares or whatever. Nobody has that. So it's a weird criteria saying we need 1,000 followers in 2 years or whatever. I mean, yeah, but what does it matter if none of them read what you write or what you post, or if they don't care? This is the extreme example, but because like followers are like empty. This is why we talked about engagement before, because you need to get your followers to actually participate and do something. But in the immediate everyday life, a number of tools will provide you with an idea of what people read, how much they read, how far down they read, what they like, etc.
Yeah, I think it is important to keep your statistics, right? It's important to understand what's going on, but it is also very important that you don't get yourself trapped in the social media metrics.
It'll take all your time in the end, and it probably won't provide you with the results that you're hoping for. So I would probably recommend to, when it comes to social media, find a strategy, a narrow strategy where you're being consistent and you do something you do this and you do this, and you, like when you post an article, you you do it in you make a certain, have your own way of making a post, and you do the same thing every time. When you take a photo from an event and you tell people what it's about, do it in a certain way, and do consider to have your own rhythm. Just do it your own way. Of course, do research on what the algorithms, like the respective algorithms, like. For instance, faces, videos, etc. I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't do all these things. I'm just saying, don't let it eat up all your patience, because that's not the point of all this. Of course, I'm sitting here arguing, hire a communication professional, or at least train, do it properly, blah blah blah. But I mean, don't take that as I'm saying spend all your time on social media, because, and I mean, I don't know, this might sound a little bit contradictory to some, but I think it's different. I mean, go back to some of the episodes again, I would say, because we provide more concrete tools there. Yeah, just don't get lost.
Yeah, and making a bridge to
but
the.
of course metrics are important, like you say. Sorry. Yeah.
I think the message from these episodes is more directed to small organizations. With the one.
All I'm saying is that also let your communication strategy be about the purpose of your organization and like how does it feed into the main purpose rather than just creating clicks on a website or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
To put it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And go back to the episodes on measuring impact.
Now, 3 points left. So, training and workshops. So, about training the team. Can communication be taught? Is it something that people have? But training is always important. No?
This is interesting. I feel like using a image from football, but we might lose a couple of listeners. But yeah, it can, but it can be taught, and it's always important to learn new things. But in terms of training, I would say that motivation is the key factor, because I think it's a lot easier as a general thing in life to learn something that you like, that you are interested in, and that you're motivated by. So you need to not only just send your employees to a workshop on communication, you need to tell them why it's important, what they can achieve by getting better at this. And then as a second question within, you can ask, like, do you just have a talent? Or and it's, I guess it's like with everything else, some people have a stronger language ear than others, and I think your linguistic skills are often related to communications, but that does not mean that I think the relationship, the or the dynamic between talent and training here is the same as with everything else in life, and that's why I was thinking about football, because you have Cristiano Ronaldo on the one side, who maybe did not have, I mean, I obviously has a natural talent for playing football, but also spent 20-30 years now basically training every single day, over and over and over again, repetition, and that is one of the main reasons he got as good as he did. Messi, on the other hand, who we often compare him to, was just a God-given talent.
Yeah.
And of course he was also training. Of course he was keeping in shape. Of course he was all that. But he's just a ridiculous talent from the beginning. Like, he has better prerequisites, basically, right?
Yeah. Intuition, so to say.
And intuition. Yeah. This is a difficult topic, but of course, as a communication professional, I would always recommend sending your employees, or getting, like, attaining skills.
Yes, you know what?
But be motivated. Don't do it just to do it.
If you're a professional, even if you're a young one, and if it's something that you have, like, if you have a certain hand for it, so to say, communication, then training will always help you. We can always get better, no matter how long we've been in the profession, not just juniors, but also experienced managers, to adjust and shape and get better, no matter what area within, but also within communication. So indeed, by all means, for me, it's obvious that do, for Christ's sake, try to improve your capacities in the organization. Give your give your employees some training.
Yeah, but again, motivate them as well. Like, make them feel like it's important. It's easier said than done, but yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe bridging into the next one, next bullet here, creativity and innovation, and being creative in your communication. So here it's about, why can't we just keep it simple and direct? Does it have to be creative? Well, the point here is, of course, that a surprising angle, a surprising approach, a post that makes you say, what's this? Or a website that makes you, that's it. Why? How did they do this? Makes you curious and makes you, it gives you, so if you just make a boring website, a lot of text, black and white with black text, no photos, maybe some nice graphs, then
yeah. Well, all I can say is that all research done in this area ever points to the fact that no, you cannot just keep it simple.
No.
So a communicator is just somebody who's like very superficially trying to make something look nice. Yeah, but it works. Also for the content, also for the substance, like we described, like talked about earlier, about the curse of knowledge. I think I used the word, the phrase. Yeah. Like you can't just sit down and write. It's very difficult to explain, but to somebody who has that attitude, you would probably need your metrics. I like sit down with your boss who has a bad attitude about this, and make her write how she would do it, and then you do it the way you would do it, and then send it out simultaneously and see what gets more reads. I don't know, but yeah, we are people who make it look nice, but for a reason, because it's important. Don't just write stuff for it to be nice.
It's very simple. You need to rethink all the time with messages, because if you want people to give attention to what you do, that's what I try to do all the time. You probably also do it. You constantly think about, how can I curve this ball of the message I want to send? How can I make people think, what's this? So the best context I have with this on LinkedIn, they are so good in making posts where I'm always curious to read what they put, because they put it in a way that makes me think, there's always something interesting. There's always something that I can take with me, but some people have this talent of making, it is a talent, to make a short, 300 character post into something where you actually get to reflect in during your working day. You see a post on LinkedIn and some people have that.
So you might think that what you do is or what you mention here that people do is, in the top of a post, write something provocative or whatever, or surprising, just to get people's attention.
Yeah, or they have a style.
And then further down, you provide the actual substance. But what the communicator does is provide the first part, so people actually read what it is you want them to read.
Yeah. It's a compass. They understand. They have and they have. You can see they have a talent for dealing with a composition of a message that for this. I spend a lot of capacity on this, or resources on this, because I don't have that. It's not an intuition for me. I'm learning it. But it's obvious with people that don't that like where it comes naturally, how it rolls.
Yeah, and even people for whom it comes naturally. I mean, Messi didn't win every game. He also lost some, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still and there are new formats, new platforms, etc. that you need to deal with. So always new challenges. But a communications professional does have like a basic skill package that can be to some extent used for most platforms, I would say.
No, Casper, we are actually moving towards the end, and actually the last point here, I don't know how much we need to talk about that because we haven't talked about it at all. We didn't remove it from the list when we went through it before we went on, but this is about cultural sensitivity. Well, this is about there are some things that you can easily say in Northwestern Europe that where you have to adapt the message when you are in Greece or in the Balkans or in Spain, and vice versa. You can say something. So this is about understanding cultural differences when you put post in an inter-European context. Yeah.
True. I think there could be some good points. This sounds like some of the points we made in an episode about audience in the strategy part in the
Mhm.
beginning of the series. I think there's something to gain from listening to that. I think if we were to add a few points here, this is it's a sensitive matter in a way because this is what the European Commission deals with on an hourly basis.
Mhm.
Finding a common language
Yeah.
that fits, I don't know, 50, 500 sets of culture, depending on how you divide Europe. A language that they all understand and appeal to them to everybody. So
The best ones, Casper, because I see them every day because it's in my flow because that's my network on LinkedIn.
yeah.
So the best ones manage to use a language code in the way they write things, so you don't feel that it has any geographical
Hmm. Exactly.
leaning towards north, south, east, west, but it's generally European without being uh, plastic European. You understand what I mean? Without being artificial. Now we talk.
Yeah, or
Now we talk
superficial. Yeah.
common European, so we can only speak. Some really have this sort of skill. It's also an intuition. People know, like how you can play with the inter-European discourse without it being artificial or something that's been put upon your message.
Yes. And not offending anybody. And
Oh yeah.
this is like like very politically delicate. Obviously,
Mhm.
it's a like you say, it's a certain skill, and it's like they have clear policies on how to write. They have trained editors or managers who know how to like exactly what kind of wording needs to be erased from a text.
Yeah.
But I would say this is like speaking to all of Europe at the same time. If you were to, if you come from, if your cultural background is Northern European and you need a message across in Southern Europe, I think doing research. I think first of all listening to our episode on this, but secondly doing research on because this is like we made up these points before, but knowing what grinds their gears in Spain or Italy is key to finding out how to communicate in a concise and relatable way to them.
Mhm.
So I think this also comes back to a little bit about this how you define how you segment your audiences, and etc.
Now, this subject is probably something that could make at least one solid podcast episode about.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
But we're not going to do that because now we're done. Casper, this has been a very nice tour de force in folding out how to approach communication within EU proposals, EU projects.
I hope it makes sense, because it was, like you say, a really fast way to go over a lot of stuff. So I really would recommend to also go back and listen. If you,
but
you can cherry pick, right? You might not.
That's the whole point. We have time codes even in each episode. You go in, you can go in, you can click through on the side of the series where everything is gathered with key takeaways from each episode. You can click on the banners and go to the episode site for each episode. There's so much information in there that you can click yourself through and take advantage of, and which is mirroring how much effort we actually put into this. We've been talking probably almost as much as we've been recording. We've been talking and discussing behind the curtain before we recorded these episodes. We actually put a lot of effort into this to try to make it nice for you out there. Now, Casper, let's just wrap it up. There will be, of course, a competition as always for the Grand Mock here. That will be the third panel person that will be on board. So we will make an episode with 3 panelists together with you and me, where we will discuss this, and we will shape the episode as we move along with that. It's not going to be an episode on here and there, but there's going to be a panel episode about communication in EU R&D projects with the winners of the comment section. So for this episode, yes, we will push like we've been doing before for comments and questions and so on, or experiences, sharing experiences, and then we will pick the one that did best.
Should be interesting.
So there will be a link. Go check out this series, but also check the grant.eu. There's so much information in there, not just under this short series. There's also a lot of other about communication and dissemination on the platform there. So go check it out. And when you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. That's the way you help a humble, independent podcast. That's how it works in the podcast world. So
and rate it. But only if you.
I never mentioned this, but yes, indeed, rate it on Spotify and on Apple Podcast where you listen to it. Rate it, give it hopefully 5 stars. But if you don't want to give it 5, give it whatever. Rate it by all means. Also comment because that you can also do in there. So yes, indeed, thanks, guys. And finally, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn. If most of my listeners are connected with me on LinkedIn, but if you're not, if you have just started and discovered this, connect with me on LinkedIn. Niels Tudor, find me. That's where the fun is. Where the flow is of information. This is also where I pick up a lot of guests. And go like the Grant page on LinkedIn. There's a lot going on. Now I make a video every Friday on LinkedIn, presenting what's coming up next week. And on the 20th of June, I have decided I will arrange a meetup in Brussels. So if you're in Brussels, 20th of June, Friday the 20th of June, 4 o'clock, Place Lux. There's a drink, there's a beer, glass of red wine, and have a chat about funding. Nah. Casper, thanks a lot for this. It's not the last time because we will also have the panel episode, but thanks a lot for everything that you've been doing together with me here. It's very much appreciated. Thanks.
It's been a pleasure.
Now let's say goodbye to the dear listeners. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Grant. Remember that if you want to win the mock, it is time to go to LinkedIn and comment. Find this post on my personal LinkedIn profile, share your thoughts, throw a question, or give us feedback. All the Grant episodes have their own site on the Grant website. You'll find a link to the episode site where you listen to your podcast. On the site for this episode, you'll find a link to Casper's personal LinkedIn site and his communication company. Further, there will be links to the communication series main page. Finally, you'll find the script that we used so you can follow the examples and the structure of the strategy. Next up is an introduction to Eureka and their key funding schemes, including the most popular, Eurostars. You can look forward to that. The Grant.